Welcome to Cosmic Comics, Games and Collectibles, your zen of geekism. We carry comics old and new, magazines, toys, games like Pokemon, Magic, D&D. Want Godzilla, Ultraman, Star Trek, Ninja Turtles, Funko Pops? You'll find it all here. Shop our Cosmic Sound Room and pick up a record or two. Enjoy our Comic Coffee Lounge with a cup of Sasquatch coffee while geeking out over a super cool movie on our big screen. Cosmic Comic, Games and Collectibles. Superman loves us, and so will you.
Hi everyone, Daphne Lage here. Join Nita Lanning and me on the Ragin' 2 The Vlogs show, where we talk about everything, nothing, and all the bits in between. Looking for hour-long conversations about indie comics, social media marketing, and crowdfunding, with the occasional rant and story time? Head on over to the Ragin' 2 channel on YouTube, Mondays through Fridays at 11 a.m. Eastern to join in the chat.
Hit the button.
Ed Gein, Demon Hunter, on Indiegogo. After a deranged demon escapes the bowels of hell, Satan is forced to send a damned soul back to Earth as a demon hunter. Armed with a sacrificial dagger, Ed returns to his old stomping ground to capture the demon before the universe is destroyed. Ed Gein, Demon Hunter. Issues 1 and 2 available now on Indiegogo. Prepare for the ultimate face-off.
We've crossed paths more than once. I've whispered in your ear, shown you harmless little temptations. I am unknowable, yet you know me intimately. But you can always know me better. Collected here are 20 twisted tales that will thrill, chill, incite, and delight you from some of the most imaginative minds your species has to offer. This exclusive Indiegogo printing of The Devil You Know Better will be limited and numbered, with signatures from Mike Barron and Hart D. Fisher. Stretch goals achieved for this campaign will add interior chapter illustrations by Stefano Cardacelli. The Devil You Know Better. Back it on Indiegogo today, while you still can.
Hi, thanks for checking out this Kickstarter. I'm Karl Kesel, and I have no idea where my tripod is, so I'm going to try to do this handheld. Wish me luck. If you're coming back for more Impossible Jones, thank you. You clearly have excellent taste. If this is your first Impossible Jones book, you could not have picked a better place to start reading. This is our fourth Impossible Jones book and our third team-up book, because everyone loves team-ups. I love team-ups. This book teams up Impossible Jones with Polecat and is 48 pages long. Now, it didn't start 48 pages long. It just became that long. It's how long the story needed to be, so we let it be 48 pages. With any luck, there will be more than 48 pages of story in this book. I'm hoping we hit our goal soon, with enough time to add a few stretch goals like maybe an Even Stevens story or two. We also have some astounding alternate covers this time around. I mean, we always have great alternate covers, but I am astounded by what we have this time. We have one by the brilliant Bill Sienkiewicz, and another by the inimitable Stuart Immonen. Inimitable Stuart Immonen. There are plenty of other wonderful rewards listed below. Take a look, see what strikes your fancy, pick a few, and join us for the next impossible adventure of Impossible Jones. Thank you very, very much.
And good evening, everybody. I am RJ Carter, Senior Managing Editor here at CriticalBlast.com, Chief Envelope Licker for Critical Blast Logistics, Myopic Proofreader for Critical Blast Publishing, which is doing the Devil You Know Better, the ad that you saw at the beginning of this program. And I do answer the phone for Critical Blast Consulting. Now, in all my years of Toastmasters training and doing speechifying, I was taught that the longer the introduction you give somebody, the more they need a build-up. If they don't need a build-up, it's a very short introduction. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Karl Kesel.
Well, hello, RJ. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. How are you doing?
Good. I love those intros. Your little spot bat signal thing. That's cool for Critical Blast. That's very cool.
Oh well, thank you. That's I don't make anything. I am not a creative person. I hire creators to do that.
Hey, the ability to pick the right people to do a job, that's really important,
That's where I excel, art direction.
Yeah, no, that's very important. No, I was very impressed by that.
Well, thank you. That's somebody on Fiverr that does that job. And then it was another lady on Fiverr who did the singing to match the timing of the video.
Yeah.
It's just bringing it all together. My creative skills are limited to what I can do in PowerPoint. That whole the Devil You Know Better, that's a voice changing software and PowerPoint animation brought together. So that's what I
like that though. The devil's voice was very good. That was you?
That was my voiceover.
Nice.
I just have some voice changing software that I got for free. I like free works. But I will spend money on things. This is what
I see. Excellent.
I
also see there's a nice Harley drawing, I assume, up there. That looks very nice.
Yeah, that is Al Bigley did both the Harley and the Batgirls for me.
Oh, yeah.
And he also did a piece of original art for me that disappeared in one of my many moves across the country, which I'll forever regret, because Al had a style that, sometimes he would do West Coast Avengers, which was more of a standard style. And then he would do like coloring books and the back cards for a lot of the Batman animated action figures.
Mm-hmm.
So I said, here's what I'd like to do. And he drew me this Batgirl, and it was sexy without being like raunchy, but it was like, it was the changing room kind of scene. And I was like, I wanted her in a certain position. So I had a full length standing mirror, and there she was standing in front of it, holding her costume over herself with the mask on. She was, about to put it on. And she got the shocked face on, and staring back at her from the mirror is her image, but the animated version of it. So I got two of them in the same shot. Disappeared. Don't know why, don't know where. Had my suspicions.
I have had one piece of original art go missing, and it was a piece of art that Walt Simonson gave me.
My gosh.
He drew a Newsboy Legion story that I wrote back by sheer luck. Mike Carlin asked me to write a Newsboy Legion story, and he goes, and I got Walt to draw it. And I'm going, ah! And Walt was so generous. He gave me one of the pages, and it has disappeared. It might have walked off with someone who was looking at the art collection. I don't know. I have no idea where that page went.
That's a shame. But I can't imagine what it would be like as a writer myself to get a job in an industry where all these great artists are now going to interpret your work and make it come to life. I've not had, I write novels. I have publishers take those, but nobody draws them out yet. Maybe someday. Maybe someday. Crowdfunding's here. I can hire people now.
Yeah.
So I have read 3 times now Impossible Team Up B. And that is the title, right? Impossible Team Up.
Impossible Team Up. I guess it's the title. Yeah, let's call it that. Yeah.
Because it's what's up front and center. It's the new continuing adventures of Impossible Jones, who I'm absolutely falling in love with as a character. I missed Grin and Gritty. I looked on this campaign to see if there was a physical of that one. There was not. So I'm like, well, off to eBay we go. We'll find one. That's exactly what I'm looking for.
Yeah.
I will find one of those. And because I saw there was a signature plate that will match. I like.
Yes, there is a matching signature plate. Yeah.
I like signature plates. But it's for those who are unfamiliar with Impossible Jones, my introduction would be that imagine Catwoman fell in a vat of acid and got Plastic Man's powers.
It's interesting you should say that, because when I first thought of it, I thought of it as Harley Quinn and Plastic Man together. But as the character like took on a life of her own, I also thought, no, she's much more like Catwoman. I thought the same thing. I really never said that, so I think that's very perceptive of you.
Characters do that though, don't they? I mean, you create them and then you start writing a story and they go their own way and you're like, come back, and you just follow them.
Yeah, I mean, Impossible Jones is still a funny character, but she's not a wacky character like Harley Quinn,
Yeah, and she's got certain levels of taste, or at least, her opinion of herself is that she has levels of taste. I think one of the most hilarious things in the book was when she's, talking to Captain Lightning, and he makes a quip, and she's like, "Oh, this is bad," and skip a beat. He actually thinks he's funny. It's like, oh, she's going to get caught, but no, it's what she thinks is bad is that he thinks he's got a sense of humor, which is all dad humor when he uses it.
Yeah, it is. It really is. So, and I am very fond of Captain Lightning because I created him in second grade.
Oh, really?
Yes, Captain Lightning and Polecat both I created in second grade. And when David and I were putting together the supporting cast for this book, there were certain kinds of characters I wanted, and I wanted a city with very few heroes. So the heroes you see right now, they're the heroes this city has. It's not going to be like Metropolis or Gotham City or New York City, in Marvel. There's like 6 heroes in this town, and that's it. And so they each occupy a very different strata. You know what I mean? And Captain Lightning is the dad figure, And I love him with all my heart, but he's a dad. Yeah, he's a dad.
It's interesting when trouble arises with only 6 heroes. They're like, and Captain Lightning is talking about this. He's like, I didn't want to take this person because, and I didn't want to ask this person because, so I'm stuck with you.
Yeah.
So they're picky. It's not like they can just say, hey, there's a crime, come join me. I don't care who you are, come fight.
Yeah.
And I'm going to get into spoiler territories, I guess, a little bit, just because, again, it's still fresh in my mind. Just wrote the review on it this morning, published it at Critical Blast. But he's the, how do I want to say that? He's the Captain America, I feel, of the town.
Yeah, very much.
Perception-wise. I mean, he's very much, white bread, milk, take your vitamins. But at the same time, Imp deduces something about him. She sees something in him that's like, there's a crack in that armor. You're hiding something, and I'm not going to let you know that I know you're hiding something because I might use that later. Which just really fleshed out the character for me.
Yeah, well, I'm glad you like that. Yeah. I got plans to take Captain Lightning in a certain direction, which I'm very very anxious to get to. The one problem with crowdfunding, at least for me, is we don't do it monthly. This does not come out every month. We only get a book out every 6 months, 9 months, whatever it is. So the movement forward is a lot slower. But I have plans. I have plans for Captain Lightning, and I have plans for all of them. Yeah.
Well, one of the plans that you accomplished in the second issue of this series was you brought back the Guerrilla Comics team of Section Zero. One of the advantages of creator-owned properties.
That's very true. Yeah, I didn't have to. All I had to do was ask myself and Tom. I asked Tom Grummett, "Would you mind, Tom, if we use these characters?" And Tom, of course, had no problem.
Yeah, so we got to see Reagan Atomic, and I was like, "Oh, I get it. School must have been a blast for her during roll call."
For some reason, I have this fondness of naming characters after the person I assumed was president when they were born. I actually did this in Harley Quinn too. I had 2 characters named Nixon and Kennedy, and they were named after the people who were president when they were born. That was my justification for it.
Sure. I was just flashing back when I was in college. We had a guy who always did the roll call by last name, and we had 2 students who were back to back, Bill Court and Gina Law. And he's just like, you 2 should just get out of here and go study, jurisprudence and become lawyers. So you'd make a great legal sign somewhere.
Yeah,
Court and law.
It's a TV show waiting to happen. Court and law.
Exactly. Yeah, and we had the 24-hour bug return as well.
Mm-hmm.
Are we going to see them again soon? I mean, they seem to have, inculcated themselves into this universe now.
Well, I think this was fun when it happened, but I don't have any plans to bring them back. I mean, actually, one of the problems, at least that I had with bringing the characters in, is Tom and I have established very clearly the Section Zero characters age in real time. And the Impossible Jones characters don't. The Impossible Jones characters are much more archetypal superheroes who will about always be the same age as time goes by. And in the book, actually, Captain Lightning and Tom, the 24-hour bug, make a reference to that because Tom said, Captain Lightning says something like, "We met once years ago," and Tom says, "But you never seem to get any older."
Yeah, well. And that was always Bob Razakis would refer to that on his Answer Man pages when people would ask, how old Superman and Batman were because they've been out for so long. And he's always like, they're always 29 years old and they've always been in action for 5 years. And it's a moving 5 years.
Yeah.
And that all kind of fell apart as soon as Dick Grayson became Nightwing. That's the area I point to in the DC time. I says, as soon as he put on that new costume, a clock started ticking. And now we've got, 4 Robins. I'm like, there's no way you can have that many kids.
Yeah. At some point you just got to not worry about the tight continuity like that and just go with the flow and enjoy it. You really do. I actually am convinced, I know we're way off topic here, but I am convinced with no evidence whatsoever that Stan Lee was planning to age all the characters in real time. I mean, Johnny graduates high school and goes to college. So does, so does Peter Parker. There was real forward movement here in the characters. And I think Stan at some point said, "Oh my God, these books are going to be published for a while. I got to stop doing this." But but I think almost every character in the Marvel universe is better if they age. Iron Man, different people could wear the armor. The Avengers, the X-Men, people come and go anyways. Thor would be a much better book if the people around him aged and got older and died, and he didn't.
Yeah.
And Spider-Man and Fantastic Four. Fantastic Four should be about a family. They have kids. The kids grow up. I mean, they keep doing weird little dimensional doorways, travel through time, and all of a sudden the kids are 5 years older, and that's what they have to do. But I mean, the idea of a family, that implies the passage of time very strongly.
Sure. And you see that with television adaptations of comics because real people don't have this immortal ink running through their veins. So when you see Riverdale, it's like, well, this is limited to 4 years. There's no way they can. Well, what did they do? They aged them up and said, okay, now it's 10 years in the future from high school time or 5 years in the future. So now
and quite honestly, that's why Marvel Cinematic Universe has embraced multiverse. Because now they can have a new Tony Stark. Now, you know what I mean?
Absolutely. We're here to talk about Impossible 3 or Impossible C.
Yeah,
a new numbering scheme. It's throwing us all off.
I'm sorry. All of the team ups are the Bs. It's the B book or the 2 book, I should say. And we have A, B, C, and D. We'll have 4 books. So this is the third in the four team ups. And this is Impossible Jones and Polecat. Although that picture right there is a beautiful drawing Bill Sienkiewicz did for our.
He really did a great job on that. It's because she's it captures her abilities and her attitude very, very well.
Exactly. He just got it. He just got it.
And I'm looking at the numbers here because I actually researched this. I normally just fly by the seat of my pants on these, Carl.
I do too.
But I went back and I looked at the other campaigns, and like Impossible Team Up A capped out at 34,006, Impossible Team Up B at 39,6, and you've got 3 days to go at 33. You're going to hit 40 on this campaign, which it just goes to speak that you're reaching an ever growing audience, and people are talking about the book and telling their friends, hey, you've got to go get this the next time around, which is what I'm telling people. You've got to go get this time around. It's actually up right now.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, well, that's what I'd like. Yeah, I think I will say, and not just shilling here, but you ran our little promo video, which was obviously I was doing the best I could. But anyways, this is a 48-page story with Impossible Jones and Polecat. I mean, the first one was a 28-page story. Our idea was each of these would be kind of the size of a regular comic. First one was a little long. And then the Captain Lightning one turned out to be 38 pages long. And this one is 48 pages long. I mean, that's one of the problems with the creator-owned stuff is you sit there and you go, wow, this scene needs to be 2 pages, not 1, or 4 pages, not 3. And you can do it. And
yeah, absolutely.
I would like to,
you're not constricted.
I would like to think there's no padding in here. I would like to think every panel on every page is essential to this story because, I mean, Mike Carlin trained me well about, everything has to have a purpose. Don't be, don't give in to all of your little things that you like to do. Tell a story, and really that's one of the questions I always ask myself when I write a story is what is the least amount of information a reader needs to know to understand what is going on now? So they don't have to know what year Impossible Jones was born in and what she got for her 10th birthday. What do they need to understand what is happening to her right now? Because that's what we have to tell. That's what we have to get across. And, asking that question time and again in this story, it became 48 pages. And, so each book is getting a little bit bigger and not by plan. It just is, it's happening. It's happening. And my point was, and I'm not really just trying to, pat myself on the back here, but you can tell when a story you're working on is working. And in this story, the Polecat story is working. It came together really well. And I'm very proud of it. And I get pages from David and he is just adding this extra layer of life and vitality to it. And I think this one is our best one yet.
Now you tease out some of her origin throughout the book. Because it'll be these tiny little flashbacks to Dr. Fosca.
Right.
And it'll be Imp learning something new that she can do with her abilities. And she's like, and this is all Dr. Fosca will tell me. And,
right.
Dr. Fosca just says, I just want a lab so I can dissect you.
I know. Yeah. Fosca is a really interesting character because she has this sense of ownership over Impossible Jones. Because I created you. It's almost like Frankenstein and his monster, Now, Impossible Jones doesn't necessarily feel that way. But on the other hand, this lady's got information that can help her that she can use. I really think they've got a very interesting relationship. I really enjoy their it's not really friendship, but
No. I mean, Fosca only has simple needs. All she wants to do is cut you up and see what made you happen like this.
There's some, once again, I got plans for where the whole relationship with Fosca goes. And, anyways, yeah.
Woody in the chat says they could have kept flunking Archie and Jughead and Veronica Betty back in the 12th grade for a few years. Actually, Archie did flunk. Archie flunked and did not graduate in the Riverdale show, and they put him in the army instead. He went off to war. So yeah, if you've seen Riverdale, it's not your father's Archie comics.
No, I understand. I actually have never watched the show, but I've certainly heard enough about it. Yeah.
It was bizarre from the beginning.
And I think
now they have superpowers.
What?
Now they have superpowers.
Really?
Archie is invulnerable. Betty can see auras. Veronica has a poisoned kiss, and Jughead can read minds. So basically, they're up to being Pureheart the Powerful and Captain.
That is so bizarre. That is so bizarre.
I don't know where he comes up with because it's the same showrunner.
Okay. Hey, it seems to be working, right? People are watching the show. I hear good things about the show, so
it keeps people coming back. The only thing that makes me angry about it is because it was so successful that it kept Roberto Aguirre Sacasa from finishing Afterlife with Archie. I'm like,
oh yes. I was really upset that book kind of just vanished.
It did.
I love that
cliffhanger.
What was that?
It was like it ended on a cliffhanger too. It's like there was supposed to be another part there. He's like, Reggie's signed up to murder Betty, and he's like, yeah, no problem. End the story. Like,
I know. Yeah, that whole Afterlife with Archie I thought was a wonderful book. I love that book.
I still reread it. So I want to get to you're fully funded. This happened pretty quickly too, I believe.
Yeah, we got funded in about 12 hours, a little under 12 hours. Yeah. for the first 18,000. But as Ron Randall likes to point out, that really kind of pays our printing costs. Now we're trying to earn some money to pay ourselves.
Yes. And there's nothing wrong with that, people. You should pay yourselves as much as you possibly can. You do a lot of the chibi stickers, which I love.
Well, Giancarlo Bernal, who does these for me, he's so good at them, and he does another book on. There's one that he does another book that just ended on Kickstarter about a demon eater. I forget the name of it, but he also does Crescent City Monsters, and that's where I first saw him. He's an amazing artist, and the chibis he draws are so perfect.
Yeah, and I don't know what it is about chibis, but everybody just loves them. And of course, this time around there'll be chibis of Polecat, and I don't know this character.
Hellhound. That's really kind of the story in this story. Is we learn that Polecat used to have kind of a partner named Hellhound, and this is not a secret, but Hellhound is not around anymore, and we learn kind of the story of their relationship. And I don't think it would be too much of a spoiler to say that she is his lifelong unrequited love. So in many ways, this is a story that involves ghosts, but in many ways, she still haunts him.
Yeah. And that's one of the things about the Impossible Jones stories is that they've got this Bruce Timm sort of look about them. So they're cartoonish style of universe. They're very lighthearted in most of the places. But at the same time, you don't hold back when, it's when somebody's going to get hurt or somebody's going to die. This is the bad guy. The overarching bad guy is not a pushover joke of a criminal.
No.
Very scary.
Thanks. No, we try to do that. So,
is Hellhound right-handed?
Well, she might be ambidextrous. She's a boxer by training.
Yeah,
and she has brass knuckles that say "bark" and "bite" on them.
Yeah, and the bark's on the right hand. I was just curious if her bark was worse than her bite.
Well, I don't. I see. I don't know if it was worse. I think both. I think her bite is just as bad as her bark.
But we're going to get to see some of that in this issue as well.
Yeah.
You got so many cool things coming with this one, and it looks like they've all hit the limits of.
Yeah, what I decided to do to help encourage people to support the book earlier is if you support it in the first 2 days, you get one of these Start Strong stickers. Then during the whole middle of the campaign, you can get a Stay Strong sticker. Now, if you're from the beginning, you also get the Start Strong. And in the last 2 days, there will be a Finish Strong sticker. So if you've been from the beginning, you'll get all 3 stickers. If you only come in the last 2 days, you'll still get a sticker, but it'll be the Finish Strong sticker.
Yeah. Now, I came in today.
So you'll get to Stay Strong and then the Finish Strong.
Excellent. I can do that. This is genius, and I'm seeing this on so many campaigns lately. I saw this on Perfect 10 in Britain and The Embrace here in the United States, where if you got both campaigns, hey, there's a poster that you guys married up and said, here's our intersection point, which was a lot of fun because I was doing the fulfillment for The Embrace. So I had there's a new set of data I've got to go through.
Well, that data is fun to go through, isn't it?
Oh yeah, and it works because as soon as I backed this, I'm like, well, I wanted to read Damsel from Distress anyway, so I jumped right over and I got 1 through 5 of Damsel from Distress because
it's a great Damsel from Distress is such a great book. It's one of my very favorites out there right now. I mean, it's Man from Uncle as a woman in fantasy setting, with demons and elves and dwarves. And Andrew Clemson, who writes it, is very clever. And her boss is a talking frog. Her boss is a talking frog. Come on. It's a great book. It's a great book. So I was very happy to do a little crossover print with him.
Yeah, and thankfully you had the link right here, so I didn't have to go hunting for it. So, folks, if you're on there, just click away. It'll open in a new tab, so you won't even lose what you're doing here. So now we actually get to talk about what's going to happen in this story, and it's, as you said, it's ghost stories. I just realized that this banner here gets replaced with a white banner if you pick the other cover that gets signed.
Yes, it does. Yeah, for the signature one. Yeah.
And And I realized that by comparing my first book to my second book, I'm like, oh, I did something different. So I guess this is the elevator pitch point for this issue.
Well, I mean, like I said, there's some hauntings going on in their city. Polecat decides to investigate and drags along Impossible Jones. And while they're investigating, they run into Zeus Karnacki, Ghost Finder. And he's kind of like a low rent Doctor Strange, let me say. He's not. I wouldn't call him a sorcerer supreme by any stretch of the means. But he uses things like his the little device he has on his hand, and he has like an electro-ectogram, which he uses to capture ghosts and stuff. He uses mixtures of wizardry and technology, in his fight against the supernatural. And probably no one knows this except me, but Karnacki is the name of a famous ghost hunter in public domain. He was in a series of short stories written by William Hope Hodgson in the 1920s. His name was Thomas Karnacki, Ghost Finder. He was also a ghost finder. And Alan Moore used Thomas Karnacki in his League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. He's in the public domain. And so Zeus is a descendant of Thomas.
I thought that I thought it was maybe a play on the old Johnny Carson, Karnak, the magnificent thing. But
I'm going to say it works on that level too. But where I came from it was Zeus Karnacki, Ghost Finder, is descended from Thomas Karnacki, Ghost Finder, and like I said, Thomas has appeared in Alan Moore's books. So
yeah, there's so much in public domain that could be revived in the hands of a good writer, and you just mine that for even more. I think look at all the stuff that's happening with Black Terror. Everybody's doing Black Terror because he's just there, and they're all unique and different. Alan Moore used the Black Terror. Dynamite's been using Black Terror. You want to do a Black Terror book? He's there. But there's so many more. You want to do a Batman story that DC won't let you do? The Owl. Just go with the Owl and tell your story. And you do have these two. This was a struggle for me today when I was getting the book. I'm like, I want them all, but
you got the Sienkiewicz and you got Stuart Immonen. I mean, and Bill, I'd been after for a while to get me to get a cover out of him, but Stuart was dumb luck. My God, I was like going, well, who else could I approach? And wow, I really like Stuart's stuff, and I had a very old email that didn't work anymore, so I got in touch with his art dealer, and he got me in touch. And it just so happened Stuart was coming back from one trip, and in about 2 weeks he was leaving for another trip, and he goes, I got some time, I'll draw you a cover. But if I contacted him a few weeks earlier or later, he wouldn't have been home.
Exactly, yeah, it just works out. I just finished reading his work with Mark Miller on the Magic Order Volume 2, the trade paperback they just released, and I love his stuff. But I will say, if he has a daughter named Cinnamon, she needs to sue him when she gets old enough.
What was that?
If he ever has a daughter named Cinnamon, she needs to sue him when she gets old enough.
Cinnamon, yeah.
Just flat out, that's child abuse right there.
Yeah. So everyone gets a little poster. Now they get two posters because we've made the Bill Sienkiewicz cover into another poster. So now
really?
Yeah, we did that. That is just this morning we reached that stretch goal. So all backers get two posters now.
That's excellent. And are they going to be the size of the fight poster?
The Sienkiewicz one definitely will be. This other one, I actually mistakenly listed it at a smaller size, but I might keep it at a smaller size. I don't think it needs necessarily the big size that the Sienkiewicz. I think the Sienkiewicz one will look huge, will look beautiful at the large size.
Oh yeah, it absolutely will. And now does the Sienkiewicz poster have the logo, the name behind it all? Is that
he did that? That's all Bill. That's all Bill. Okay. That's all part of his design. Yeah.
Beautiful. And of course, we get some looks at the stuff that you've created. You created King Shark, and the word has the Disney. Sorry, the other big P company. The DC remembers this when things get used. So hopefully, Suicide
I've
Squad.
seen some money. I've seen some money off of King Shark, so that I cannot complain. Although it also makes me realize that what?
And from the Flash.
Yeah, from various appearances. I mean, they did not break it down. Here's from Flash. Here's from the animated Harley Quinn show. They don't break that down. But I have gotten some money. But of course, it also makes me realize that if they've paid me that much money, how much money have they just paid themselves?
Oh, yeah. If they're not losing any money on the deal, that's for sure.
No.
Now this is of course where the preview begins,
Right.
And we can see, I can actually hear because this is library books. It's a Clapper Ghost. I'm loving it.
But by the way, we've already sold out this level, but you can see on that first page the name of the bookstore. It says something about your name here.
Right.
And there is someone who already bought that space, and their name will be there in the printed book.
You've done that with the previous books as well. People buy the coffee brand or something like that.
Yeah, they can either be a place or product in the Imp universe, or we do offer a chance to appear. And we have to limit those because they're more difficult to fit in.
Sure.
But I mean, I've really enjoyed this. I know a guy named Mike Solo pledged to do that the first time around. As soon as I saw his name, I said, Solo beer. We're going to have Solo beer. And I just love Solo beer. I put it on signs all the time now. And Impossible Jones has a favorite energy drink, and I gave someone a chance to name that. And they named it Frink, F-R-I-N-K. They wanted to name it Frink because that was the sound they and a group of friends had decided that lemurs made. That lemurs made the sound frink, frink, frink. And
that's where I got screwed up. You did it to me.
So, but I really enjoy this sort of interaction. I never would have named that energy drink Frink, but now I'm like stuck on it. I'm thinking, what a great name,
It is a great name. We had our Best of 2021 awards several months back now, and part of them, part of that deal is that everybody gets a physical medal. We have medallions, so the best movie that gets shipped out, the best actor that gets shipped out, the best comic book writer as voted on for 2021 was Dave Brink in the UK for his book Perfect 10, and lo and behold, I ordered the medallion for the name Dave Frink.
Oh no!
Because I had just recently been reading the Impossible Jones stuff. I'm like, he's like, yeah, Dave Frink gets one. And I get them in. I'm just about to box up, ship to him. Like, wait a second, the label is wrong. Oh no, the medallion is wrong. I had to reorder a new medallion. So,
well, I'm glad you caught it.
it was fun. Every year, no matter how many times I proofread the list of names, every year there's one. There will always be one.
Oh.
Herwenberg in the chat says, we backed the first Impossible Jones Kickstarter, now in 2C. She teams up with Polecat. Yes, back it now at the link.
Oh, thanks.
You backed the first one. I hope you backed the second one. If you didn't back the second one, you can get caught
They're
up.
all available here. Yes, all of them are here.
And if you, did back the first one, but you didn't get the other cover, I think those other covers are available too.
I think so. I would have to. Those are all available as add-ons. So after you make your pledge, then you go to a page that says configure your pledge, and that's where you can pick extra things to add on. So here he is, Zeus is using his little wrist thing to have the ghost go towards the light.
I love the fact that, he's got my body. I can identify with this character.
Yeah, I don't think he does a lot of working out. So
he's not going to chase a ghost very far.
No, he just finds them. He doesn't chase them. So, and then finally, we do get to the main character, Impossible Jones, who is about to pay an unexpected visit on Holly Days, who is also her friend. They actually have a very strong friendship.
And this is something we skipped over in this episode for the fans here. If you are not familiar with Impossible Jones, she has superpowers. She has been mistaken by the city and the superhero community as a superhero. She's a thief.
Yes.
But now she's decided to use this "I'm a superhero" as her secret identity to continue being a thief. But it's a very fine line to walk because
Oh, it is. And in this particular instance, she's going to get something she knows Holly has stolen. She's going to get it and take it back for the finder's fee. And
Yes.
but then she and Holly can split some takeout. That's her whole plan. But when she gets here, Polecat's already there, and all of a sudden it's like, shit, Polecat's here. I can't do what I was going to do now.
Yeah, and that's what she did in 2B as well. Was she was planning to? She says, "This is going to be stolen. This is how I would steal it. I will watch for it to be stolen that way, and then I will steal it from the stealers, and then take it back for the reward money."
Exactly right. I mean, she's got to make a living, right?
Yes,
So,
and it's not a bad way to do it if you're. I think part of her really wants to be a hero.
Yeah, well, I think that's a good question. And I think I think that's actually one of the roles Polecat plays. I think Polecat. I always say that Polecat is in many ways her Jiminy Cricket. Now, I'm not sure he knows that she's got these secrets, but his natural tendency is to do the right thing, and so he encourages her to do the right thing. So in many ways, he's like, well, we have to return this without a finder's fee, right? We have to do that, right? We have to do that,
That's
right?
what we do. We're heroes.
So I mean, he's not as strident as Captain Lightning is. His method is much more soft, a much softer method. But I mean, I guess you would say he thinks you can get more people with honey than vinegar, or whatever that expression is.
Yeah,
So.
yeah. It's and she's more like Mike Barron's Flash when he started that run up in the late '80s. It's like, yeah, I'll run this heart across the country, but I need health insurance. It's like because you're like, superheroing doesn't pay.
Yeah, there's that. Yep.
So you've described in the video that Polecat is, think Daredevil with a pole.
Yeah, that's it.
Which by the way is much better than with a skunk clan that just stinks the criminals out. That would have been horrible.
Well, once again, Polecat created him in second grade because I didn't know what a polecat. Yes, I did not know that polecat was slang for skunk, and I heard the name Polecat. I mean, it was a word you knew. And so I said, Polecat, that's such a great name for a hero. He's got a pole and he dresses like a cat, And it was only after I'd drawn adventures and really gotten attached to the character that I became aware that Polecat means skunk, at least in some parts of the country. And so I just decided our hero here, he's a city boy. He didn't know this either. He took this name, and by the time he realized what he'd done, it was too late. He was stuck with it. And luckily he's got a pretty good he feels pretty he's very comfortable in his own skin, so he's not very worried about people making fun of him or anything like that. He just kind of rolls with it.
Yeah. So how many of these other characters have come along with you from second grade here now?
Just these two, just Captain Lightning and Polecat. I don't think there's any other characters from my dim distant past that I'm going to bring in. Like, for instance, the other thing I drew stories of when I was a kid was this really great idea of a team of all superpowered women, right? All women. And the name of the team was
Are you listening?
and the name of the name of the team was the All Feminine Squad. What a great name.
That was a little on the nose there.
All Feminine Squad. So I don't think you're going to be seeing them come back anytime soon.
Yeah, well, we had AC's Femme Force, and of course we have Heroinberg, who produces a comic called Heroinberg, which is all female superheroes. By the way, he does a web series too, where he has hired cosplay models. So his whole gig is comics and live action adventure. You go back and forth from one to the other. It's
I think if it wasn't you, someone else told me about this a while ago, and it could have very well been you.
Might have been. I try to remind people of that all the time when he's here.
Yeah.
So yeah, she's going to visit Holidays, and Polecat's already there to capture her. It looks like Holly had a holiday idea for a party coming up here because
Well, yeah. I don't know exactly what you're talking about. So what are you talking about there?
Well, because she knew Imp was coming, and she's in the nightgown, and she's got
Well, no,
two guys.
she actually did not know Imp was coming. She did not know Imp was coming. Imp was going to
Oh, I
surprise
thought it was a planned visit.
No, Imp was going to surprise her. So, but she didn't know Polecat was coming either. So, she and her men are not in fighting gear. Obviously, they're in some nighties.
It was a party.
And this next page you're scrolling down to is one of my favorite lines where Holly says, you got to talk to your costume coworker. We were in the middle of a very important business meeting when he busted in.
Yes, yeah, and I love that you put that Harley Quinn twang on Holly, because Holly Days is very much a Harley Quinn analog.
Well, we actually created her to show that Impossible Jones was not a Harley Quinn analog. But I enjoy Holly Days, and because I enjoyed Harley Quinn, that sort of energy is very attractive in a character.
Yeah, it is. And if I recall, wasn't Holly formerly a hero? Didn't she kind of like go from the hero to villain side?
Yeah, we have another part of the comic that we have not had time to explore yet, but there's a character called Persephone, and she's elected every year, more or less in a beauty pageant. And the Persephone pendant is handed from one person to another. And at one point, Holly was a Persephone, and she resigned in disgrace. Now, what exactly happened, we don't know, but she resigned in disgrace and became the sidekick for a character called Krampus, who is an evil Santa Claus sort of character, which is where her whole Christmas theme thing really comes together.
And Harrower said, Holly Days is a cute villainess whose Christmas-themed crimes aren't always in season. Hope she continues to appear. Twice in 3 years now. So
yeah, and we're going to see her in number 4 a little bit too. So
now you mentioned Persephone, and I do recall her being talked about in both of the books, but I haven't seen her.
She has. Well, she's made one very small appearance, but not in any of my books that I've kickstarted. She has made an appearance on one extra page that we did for one of the Scout comics of Impossible Jones.
Okay.
So that is the only time she's actually appeared, and even where she appears there, she doesn't talk. So you see pictures of her, but she doesn't say anything. So, but once again, I had a very few number of heroes I wanted in this city, and I wanted, Captain Lightning, Polecat, even Steven, and Persephone, and then Impossible Jones is thrown into the mix. And not everything goes according to plan, does it? We have just never had a moment to bring Persephone on stage. It just, to do so forces the moment. It doesn't work, thematically or whatever you want to say. And so, and I think Persephone is a really interesting idea. The idea that, every year there's a new Persephone, that the pendant is passed from person to person, that there are dozens of ex-Persephones out there. The mayor of the city is an ex-Persephone, and her daughter is the current Persephone. So
does the amulet just quit working after a year for a person until it's like a monkey's paw? It has to be handed off?
No, that's a good question though. But no, it just is handed off voluntarily, like a peaceful transfer of power in American democracy. So
okay. I was wondering if and this is getting way ahead of ourselves because you're on C right now, if the D team up was going to be with Persephone or with Even Steven.
Well, Even Steven will be there. I actually don't want to go into detail, but I figured out exactly how he would appear in part D, the fourth team up book. But he is not the main character that she teams up with. And it won't be Persephone. She will appear also. She will finally make her kickstarted comic appearance premiere in the 4th team up book. But the 4th team up book will team up Impossible Jones with a character called American Angel, and it's A period, N period, G period, L period, E period. Brand new character. She actually has appeared in the back of one panel so far, and she is she's more or less she's our patriotic character. She will be flying in from Washington when things get really out of control in the next issue, and she's a war vet who, well, quite honestly, was in an explosion, lost her legs, but now she's in the suit of armor that gives her legs back, and she's the American Angel, and Angel stands for something like, I forget, something nanotech, blah 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 blah. It's her armor. It's the name of the armor.
The superhero name always has to be a reflection of the power. That's a rule.
It is a
you
rule.
have to tell the bad guys what you can do.
It's really one of the ideas I wanted to do many years ago. I wanted to do this with Stephen DiStefano. Do you know Stephen DiStefano? Many years ago,
Yeah.
he did Amazing Man at DC.
Yeah, Amazing Man. Yeah.
Amazing Man, yeah. And I talked to Stephen about doing a book called, something like My Best Friend's Size Boy. And it was about a kid who gets superpowers, and he has no desire to be a hero, but his friend really wants to be a hero. So he starts to try to push his friend into being a hero and lives vicariously through him. And one of the things he says is, call yourself Size Boy, and but I don't change size. It is nothing. And he goes, that's right. It'll confuse everybody. They won't know what your powers are.
Absolutely. I love that idea. I've heard that thrown out before. It's like, don't call yourself the Orange Tarantula if you don't, wear an orange costume and shoot webs. It just confuses everybody involved. I always liked it in the Legion, in one of the iterations of the Legion of Superheroes, one of the many, when Colossal Boy didn't want to be called Colossal Boy. He wanted to be called Micro Lad. But you grow to a huge size. He's like, no, that's my normal size. I shrink down to talk to you.
I didn't know that. I'd never heard that before. That is really funny.
So
Is that true,
when
though?
he
He
was
comes
normal
from a
size, he was
colossal
using his
race?
powers.
Is
Yeah,
that true?
he comes from this colossal race. That's just
I
him
love
normal.
that idea. I love the idea that he should be called Micro Boy. That's really great.
Yeah, and he's using his powers when he's our size.
Our size.
And he stopped using them when he's bigger. You've got so many great characters in here. This crime circus that you had at the beginning of 2B. I mean,
Yeah.
That was not a pushover group. That was a scary little bunch.
Yeah, I mean, really, they just kind of ran away when the cops showed up. But yeah, but yeah, I mean, the bearded lady and her freak show. Yeah, I really enjoy them. And once again, you just don't know how ideas are going to come together. I knew I wanted a character there called Clown Car, and a guy who could split himself into multiple versions of himself, because that fit all in one clown car. And then David drew him scowling. And all of a sudden I said, oh, this is like a clown who is just always complaining and bitter. And everyone brings something to the table. That's what's so great about this.
Yeah, he was not a happy clown.
No, he wasn't. But he was probably my favorite of the characters.
I cannot wait to get this book now simply because of this scene. Because, Imp and Holly, they are really friends. They're besties.
Yeah, they are.
And I can't let you get away because Polecat's not stupid, but I can't take you in because you're my friend. It's like, okay, I need to see that resolved. See how this is going to work out.
Maybe you got to get the book. Maybe you got to get the book to see that resolved.
I've got to get. Well, look, this thing here says manager pledge. That means I've got one. So
yeah.
I will be waiting until January. No, I can't wait that long, Carl. Come on.
Well, if David draws it faster, we can get out faster. That's all I can say. David is very, very reliable for 2 pages a week, and that's what I scheduled this book for. But if David can pick up the pace, we will get it out sooner. That's all I can tell you.
It's like you said. That's the drawback with crowdfunding is that you have to do it. You have to get the money first, and then you have to make the book. I don't know. At some point, I think that it'll catch up with the industry, with the industry model that we've seen. I don't know how yet.
Yeah.
I know that there's some people like the folks who do Miskatonic High, where they're like, yeah, we just made the first 5 issues and then we crowdfunded the first one. So they're always 4 issues ahead and they're putting one out every 3 months. But I guess you've been in the industry, Carl. So what is it that's different about the creative process when you're crowdfunding versus when you're working for DC that it gets cranked out faster under?
Well, I mean, obviously DC has a lot more people running the show. I mean, I deal with the printer. I do the fulfilling myself. I did use a fulfillment service for a while, but I wasn't happy with how they were handling things.
Talk to us after the show.
What?
Talk to us after the show.
And I do the trafficking. I'm the one that's I'm doing all the job that the editor did. I'm doing the marketing. I take a month out of my life to run a Kickstarter. These are things that slow down a production of what would be a monthly book, obviously. And also, I will admit, when you're doing your own creator-owned stuff, you want it to be as good as possible. And so maybe you say, I really should have this script finished by Friday, but I'm going to work on it over the weekend because it'll be better. And yeah, it does get better. And that means it's in David's hands 2 or 3 days later. You know what I mean? And
Right.
and so those little things slow you down too. At least they slow down me.
It would certainly slow down me. I mean, if I had to do art and comics, it'd be like it would take me a year to get something done.
But I will say I enjoy absolutely every aspect of this. I enjoy dealing with the printer. I enjoy doing the production work, getting the pages together, making sure it's all formatted correctly for the printer. I really enjoy that. I even enjoy packaging the stuff to send them out. Going down my list, checking it off. I think I made 4 mistakes so far in the latest fulfillment. And I think that's pretty good. 4 mistakes out of like 700 packages.
That's not bad. And of course, you always run into the people who didn't update their address or they didn't respond to the survey.
I got 20 people that I haven't heard from yet, but little by little I can track them down. The campaign before this, the Imp Holly book, I had 100% fulfillment. Everyone got their books. I finally tracked down everyone's address. But once again, that takes time, doesn't it?
Yeah, and that's again your job again. So you've got 8 hats that you have to wear at one time. You're like Bartholomew Cubbins of comics.
Exactly like Bartholomew Cubbins. Exactly.
Yeah. So here are all the things that you can get, folks, and I'm just going to run down them real quick because we are at the top of the hour here. But
we are.
Yeah, well, I mean, I can stay as long as you can stay, but I don't want to eat up your time.
Well, my dinner is waiting for me after we're done here, so I won't be staying too much longer.
Here we go then. $8 for the PDF, totally worth it. It's 48 pages, probably going to be a little more. You can get all the PDFs in a catch-up here for $23. And this, when I say all the PDFs, that goes back to the original graphic novel, the Grin and Gritty Impossible Jones graphic novel that kicked it all off.
Yeah. And I do want to say we're already beyond 48 pages because we have already stretch goaled 1 6-page Even Steven backup story. And we are now trying to stretch goal another 6-page Even Steven story written by Gail Simone.
Very cool.
If we get to 43,000 as our total, Gail's 6-page story will be added to the book. And so that's 1240. That's a 60 pages of comic story. 60 pages of comic story.
That's a lot. And I love the Even Steven character because he's just whatever the bad guy's power is, he has exactly enough to make it a fair fight.
A fair fight, because good will always triumph over evil in a fair fight. That's what he believes.
Yeah. And that's what he seems to prove. And I love that the stories so far have been like different origin stories of him, and I hope there's never a definitive one.
No, there is no definitive origin for him. Never.
As soon as you get those definitive origins for characters, it lessens them for me. I had an interview with I can't remember his name now, Paul, the guy who wrote Logan.
I don't know yet.
Fairy tale, but I asked him, it's like, so what was it like when Marvel said, hey, we want you to do the definitive origin for Wolverine? Because, for me, and I'm just, opening my mouth wider and getting my foot further down my throat the whole time. For me, the whole joy of it was that Logan was a mystery. You never really knew he had this berserker rage, but we don't know why. He's like, well, actually, I was the one, Paul Jenkins. I was the one who approached Marvel with the idea. I'm like, well. But I still stand by my idea that I liked it better when we didn't know.
I think there are characters it is better not to know. There are characters you should know. But, I mean, it's good to know Batman's origin. It's very essential to understanding his character. But I do think even Steven, and I would agree with Wolverine, the less you knew about Wolverine, the better he was. Because it made him unpredictable.
Yes.
You didn't quite know what buttons you were pushing with him when you didn't know his past.
Yeah, and if you saw him in World War II with Nick Fury, you're like, whoa, wait, he's how old? How did he?
Yeah, and I like that. I thought that was nice. Yeah. So, anyways, you have the Immonen covers, Sienkiewicz cover, all three covers.
All three covers, $66, folks, and you get all these PDFs with it. So
yeah, and you get the PDFs and everything. And there's the print version of everything.
Now, is this print version of everything includes the print version of Glenn and Grady?
Yeah, the hardcover right here, hardcover.
Oh, hardcover,
yeah,
not just physical cover.
And then
a Superman omnibus, but it's gone.
Yeah, I got a bunch of them in the mail, and I didn't need them, so I decided to put them up as a reward.
Okay, well, these are all gone, except you can still get a sketch by David Hahn for $210.
Yeah, and David pencils it and I ink it. He does beautiful, beautiful sketches. No, you know, one of the things David has told me is he doesn't fall back on the same poses just with different costumes. He works very hard to make each sketch totally individual. So
I love that.
And yeah, most of our stuff in through here is gone. We still have one or two things in there, but
postage free? No, it's not free. and this has caught me before, not just with yours, but with others. Like, wait a second, why I paid for that? Why am I getting? Because the postage gets charged by the backer kit when backer kit processes it.
Yeah, and to me, I don't know. I like that better because I can then base the postage on the current postage rates when I'm actually sending out the books, not 6 months before. And also, if I add I have to guess if I add my postage in here. I have to guess how much postage I'm going to need. And if all of a sudden, if I guess, boy, I'm going to need $4,000 to cover postage costs, and then every single order comes in from England, I'm screwed because that international postage would cost me $10,000.
Yep. Again, talk to us offline. That's what we do, Carl. We're a fulfillment agency. That's our money maker. All the things we do, that's the one thing that actually makes us money is fulfilling comics. We've done 15 to 16 campaigns by now.
Wow.
So far, everybody's happy. Before you go, because I don't want your dinner to be cold, we do have a question from the chat. We have a lot of the Hawk and Dove issues you did with Barbara. Brilliant. How did you come up with the idea of using the Aztec god? I'm not even going to try.
I will say I cannot remember exactly where that idea came from to use the Aztec god. I do know we wanted to do a character who was saying they were an Aztec god and maybe really wasn't, because in comics, if someone says, I'm a Greek god, they're usually a Greek god. And we wanted to do a story where there was some question over the validity of the character's claim. Now, I don't know why we decided on an Aztec. I can't remember exactly why that was the direction we went.
I've always loved those characters where, they say they're one thing, and then there's evidence that they are, and there's evidence that they're not.
Right.
One of my favorites was always the Gentleman Ghost. Back in the 70s, when you're like, yeah, he is a ghost, but look, he's using a tape recorder for something. Maybe he's not a ghost, but he walked through the wall, so he is a ghost. And now I think they've settled down that he's a ghost. And it just, again, took the mystery right away.
Yeah, ambiguity. You don't undersell ambiguity. There's a lot to it there. There's a lot to say about ambiguity.
Absolutely. All right. Carl, thank you so much for bringing Impossible Jones back to us for a third time and back on our show for a second time. If you want to back this, the link is right below the video. If you're watching the replay, right down there. It's the very first thing.
And it's also very easy to remember. ImpossibleKickstarter.com. That's it. It takes you right to it. Impossible.
It'll take you to the next one too.
What was that?
It'll take you to the next one too when it's ready. So just
in the future, every single time, that'll take you to the Impossible Jones Kickstarter whenever it's going on.
Fantastic. All right, folks in the chat, thank you so much for being here tonight. We don't have a show without you. And as always, while you were here, we just hope you had a blast. Good night, guys.
Bye-bye. Thank you.